I've got plenty of humorous stories about things that happen in the band. When the Queen came out in 54, I think, we were up at Government House, and we were. She was somewhere in the vicinity. We were in the gardens, and we were playing the 1812 Overture, which is a very dramatic work by Tchaikovsky, and finishes with great cannon shots. So they had the army with cannons to fire at the appropriate time, and so we went there and we played beautifully, and we got to this part, and the gunshots were supposed to come in. They didn't come in at all. We just finished, and then they go bang, bang, bang. So I don't know whether the Queen was impressed with that. But having said that, when you have a guard of honour, and I'm not quite sure, it might have been when she arrived at Government House to spend the night there, the Governor, Sir Dallas Brooks, he welcomed her, and the band set up, and I was on the rear flank, and Her Majesty comes and talks to the Director of Music, then parades round inspecting, and she passed about that far from me, and then you play God Save the Queen, and I was just, that is something, to be playing her song to the lady herself. It's brilliant. We're very emotional creatures, musicians, but it's part of being a musician, I think.
Was that in 1954 you were with police? The band?
No, Air Force. I joined in 52, did 12 years. And we followed Her Majesty right over to Perth on different...
Which band were you with?
Air Force.
Air Force Band, right. Central Band, yes. And we played at the Melbourne Olympic Games in 1956. A lot of us feel that Laurie Hicks, he came out with the Black Watch band, which is a Scottish band. He came out in about 1950, and then he played in the theatres around Australia and had a very successful tour. But we feel that he probably set up, he knew that the Queen was coming out in 54. Might have been, yeah. And he probably conned the authorities into forming a full-time band, because that's what he did. Very ambitious man, and very capable, but he wanted to take his music out to people. And we did a tour of Queensland in about 1953 or 50, sometime 54 or something, and we landed we flew up in Dakotas. We had three Dakotas, and one carried all the gear, and the other two were for the rest of the band, approximately 20-25 in each of the aircraft. And we gave a concert in Maryborough, Bundaberg, Rockhampton, Mackay, Townsville, Cairns, been to Mount Isa, and then came back and gave the last one in Brisbane. And very, very fortunately, my mother and father and sister came down to that concert, which was good. But that's where I was really worried about losing my job with that sort of job. When Dick stayed on in the band, and the chap who took over from him, he was a lazy coot. He'd only do official jobs at the airports, whereas, as I said, squadron leader Hicks, he was out to sell his music and the band to the public generally. What was his name? The chap. He was actually one of the trumpeters in the famous Royal Fanfare, which is the Jacob Fanfare, which goes into the national anthem. Brilliant that. And then another interesting story was that a chap that was in the band at that when I was there, Mike Butcher, brilliant musician. He'd sit in with my band, and he wouldn't have seen the music before, but he'd never make a mistake. And there's a song came out on a Dixieland arrangement of Waltzing Matilda, and he said we'll play it next Thursday, and so we wrote it out and we played it, and Hicks saw the value of him, and he sent him over to Nella Hall, which is the Royal School of Music in London, and Mike got fully qualified, and he took over the band after the one in the middle. And fortunately, I was happy to do a military tattoo in the Melbourne cricket ground, and I was in the police band then, and Mike was conducting the whole show with the Air Force band, and he did a tour of Queensland, and he came in and sat in with the. This was after he left the service, and he came into one of my rehearsals on a Wednesday. No, he said I'll on the coast. He said I'll come and have a cup of coffee with you, and so we had a cup of coffee in the afternoon. And he said, "I'll come along to the rehearsal tonight." I said, "Great." And he just sat in and played with us. He was the squadron leader. He was in charge of all. He actually did the military arrangement of our national anthem, Advanced Australia Fair. You'll see it on the credits, arranged by Mike Butcher. And tragically, he died of cancer. And he didn't have long. And he gave us three of his own arrangements the night he sat in with the. He said, "Is this music I'm getting here?" Beautiful person, Mike. A wonderful musician. You meet some great players too. The funny thing happened that I don't know whether you know what tubular bells are. They're actually pipes of about that diameter, of various lengths, according to the pitch. Yep. And you hit them with a wooden hammer. Dong, 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 you know. Yep. And we were playing the back rank with the percussion on it, up on a bit of a rise about that high. And a fellow called Jack Ward, Sharky Ward we called him, he was supposed to, at the climax, he was supposed to belt the bells. Might have been in the 1812 overture. And he missed the bell and hit the frame and knocked the whole thing over. You can imagine the noise of all the bells.